Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is your girl AdriennaDC. Today I am finally going to be diving into the Celestial Divinity Mega Mothership palette. As you guys should know by now, Pat McGrath recently released her Celestial Divinity makeup collection, but she released the Mega Mothership palette first and then she brought out the quads afterwards. So this is Pat McGrath's first ever 18 pan Mothership palette. This is what the outer packaging of the Mega Mothership palette looks like. Let me just get into it. All right, and this is the actual palette. Now, as you can see, the actual palette looks like the outer packaging. So unlike the other palettes, you don't really need to keep the boxes, but I probably will anyway. Now, I actually ordered this palette on the release date. Well, on the release date of the second launch, which would have been for the Celestial Divinity Quartz. It literally took me 1 month to get this palette. So I decided to compare the Mega Mothership palette to the Decadence makeup palette. So that's what I'm going to be doing today for you guys. This is actually not going to be a first impression of this makeup palette. I've actually dived into it a little bit. I've been just playing around with it and stuff like that. But this is what the palette looks like. So like I said to you guys, this palette has an 18 eyeshadows in it. Apparently 12 of these eyeshadows are actually repeat shades. They were previously released in Pat McGrath's limited edition Star Wars makeup collection, but I actually missed that release because I wasn't on board Pat McGrath as yet, so I'm not too mad. You know, I'm guessing Pat McGrath released these makeup palettes for those persons who didn't get a chance to experience the Star Wars makeup palette shades. So apparently only these six shades over here are repeat shades, and then these 6 shades over here are also repeat shades, and the 6 shades in the center, these are the only shades in this palette that are actually new. So yeah, I have noticed that a lot of people on YouTube, they've actually been only playing with the 6 shades in the middle, but because this entire palette is completely new to me, I'm going to be just creating a makeup look for you guys with all of them. But like I said to you guys, I'm going to actually be comparing this makeup palette to her Decadence makeup palette, which also features all of her shimmer shades. So let me just get that palette for you guys. So this is her Decadence makeup palette. So the Decadence makeup palette comes like in the regular lacquer with 10 shades in it, and all 10 shades are shimmer shades. Now let me just get into this Mega Mothership. Majority of the shades are all shimmer. I actually thought it would be a good idea to compare the formula and the quality of this makeup palette to the Decadence makeup palette. So what I'm actually going to be doing is creating a look with this palette and with the other, and then I'm going to compare. I'm going to give you guys my opinion of how the shades perform in comparison. So unlike the other makeup palettes, this Mega Mothership actually has the shade names in the back of the palette, so you don't need to look in the box like her regular 10 pan palettes. Usually you'd have to look on this piece of paper here, which I feel is a bit, I don't know, it's just a bit, you know, when you're doing reviews and stuff like that, it's kind of hard to, you know, keep up with the little piece of paper, whatever the case is. But yeah, this palette has the names to the back of it. So at glance, I'm gonna say to you, this purple shade here, so it seems to be really pretty. This shade is actually called Fuchsia Shock, and this is what this shade looks like. As you can see, it is creamy, shimmery, pigmented, absolutely beautiful. I actually couldn't wait to play with this red shade here. So that's what that red looks like. I mean, undoubtedly these shades are very pigmented. So yeah, I'm just gonna be diving into this palette. Alright guys, so I just quickly went off camera and I primed my eyelids with my P. Louise base in the shade Rumor 3. Now when I just had a chance to look at these 2 eyeshadow palettes, and I realized that they both have a repeat shade. So this yellow gold shade here, so which is called Gold Standard. Standard is also in the Mega Mothership palette, which is this shade right here. The first shade I'm going to be going in is this light pink shade down here, which is called Corruption. Now I will say, even though this little card here says, so you know, it's a bit much to be faffing around with, flipping over this eyeshadow palette to show to get the names, it's a bit much. So forgive me if I don't tell you the names of the shades that I'm actually working with. So I'm going in with this first shade right here, which is a light pink shade. shade I'm going to be going in with is that red shade to the top. And the next shade I'm going to be going into is that purple shade in the center. I think it's called Fuchsia Shock. So it doesn't matter if it's smooth or anything, because I'm going to go back in afterwards with a Q-tip and kind of clean up the shape of it. Just trying to lay the color down. But actually I'm just going to use my fingers now, so I'm going to go back into that false shade that I applied and put it here. And then I'm going to go back into that red shade, which I think is good. So I know this was my most anticipated shade to work with. I really think this shade is so pretty. Ooh. Then I'm going with that purple shade. Okay, so that's what this look is looking like so far. Then I'm gonna go on to the lower lash line. I'm actually gonna be using my Elegoo 301 brush, which is actually a lip brush, but I just want a very small brush to get underneath. So I'm not gonna be doing this too tight. I actually want to have like bring this quite a bit down to kind of like wrap around the lowest line of my eye, if that makes sense to you guys. But you'll see. That shade is called Bronze. It doesn't look quite bronze, it looks actually like a lilac-y color. So that shade is called Bronze. Ooh, I'm gonna go to that purple shade to the top that's called Bronze Nebula. And then I'm going to be going into that deep shade, that's Galactic Gold shade. Okay, so I'm going to just go in with a little small brush. So I'm going to be using the Morphe JS13 brush just to add a bit of depth to the outer corner of this makeup look. Okay, now I'm gonna take a Q-tip with some makeup remover and just gently clean up around this makeup look, just to accentuate the shape that I'm trying to go for. See if I'm happy with that look. Oops. Okay, so then I'm gonna take some concealer and I'm actually gonna use a eyebrow brush and just gently go around that shape just to clean it up as much as possible. Alright, so that's the first look on this eye. So just quickly took some concealer just to clean up the look as much as possible and go around it. But yeah, like I said to you guys, this palette, when I look at this palette, I get more of a, like, you know, extreme artistry type of vibe. So yeah, this is the look that I'm gonna go for. So let's just move on to the other eye. Now I really love this red shade, but I've just played with that shade, so I'm not gonna play with it now. I think I'm gonna kind of focus on the shades in the center for this eye look. Now this purple, this Future Shock shade is really pretty. I really want to play with that. And let me just see, I'm actually gonna go in, so I'm gonna be going in with that green shade, and this is actually called Venusian Orchid. Okay, then I'm gonna go in with that green shade. Is that Megabyte? Yeah, Megabyte. Then I'm gonna go in with that Future Shock shade. I'm gonna go back in with my fingers just to intensify the shade. If I can get in there. Okay, and then again I'm gonna go to the under eye. This one is called Saturnalia. No, it's not. Gold Standard. I think it's switched around. I feel like the names are switched around. I don't know if I'm looking at it backwards. Okay, and then what shade should I go in with next? I'm actually feeling like this shade down here, which is called, what's it called? I don't know if it's Cosmic or Corruption. The shades just don't look like the colors or the shade, the names. I don't know. Normally, you know, a color would reflect the shade of the color. I mean, the name of a color usually reflect what it looks like, but I'm not getting that unless I'm looking at it back. And again, I'm gonna go in with a Q-tip. Again, so I'm just gonna go in with my concealer just to clean up around this eye look. Alright guys, so I quickly went and clean up around this second eye look with some concealer, and I popped some mascara on just so you guys can have a look, you know, how this look would come off, you know, all finished off. I still don't have the rest of my makeup on, but I just want to give you guys, you know, a look of how this, a feel for how this look came off. I'm quickly gonna go remove this and create another look using the Decadence makeup palette. Alright guys, so I quickly went and removed the first makeup look with the Mothership palette. Now I'm going to be diving into the Decadence makeup palette. Now, even though there's a bunch of shimmers in the Decadence palette, I feel like it gives you a different vibe. Now the Mothership is just extreme artistry, you know, full impact, like extremely pigmented, extremely glittery type of vibe. But the Decadence palette, even though it has a lot of shimmer in it, it still seems a little bit toned down from the Mothership palette, which is kind of crazy. So I actually I get the feel to do some blending and stuff like that. So the first shade I'm going to be going into is that blue shade. What's that shade called? Lapis Luxury. I just love the name of this, Luxury. And I'm just gonna apply this to the outer corner a little bit, and then into the crease. So I'm gonna actually dive into this with my Morphe. Well, this isn't number, but I'm just gonna gently blend this shade out. I'm gonna be winging it out as well. Now, I gotta admit, guys, initially when I saw the Decadence palette, I wasn't into it because I mean, for all the shimmers in, I just felt like, you know, you wouldn't know what to create with it. But oh, this palette is very inspiring and it's really pretty. Even though it's a shimmery palette, it just has so much, you know, it gives you a lot of inspiration and looks to create. So I'm actually gonna go in with my Morphe JS13 brush in this shade to the top, and I'm going in with that shade. I'm guessing this is Gold Standard. Then I'm gonna be using that shade, that silver shade, which is called Stalling. This is my favorite shade in this makeup palette. I don't know why. Beautiful. And then to the lower lash line, I actually want to go in with that red shade. So I'm going to be using that same brush that I used earlier. Alright, let's just move on to the other eye. So I'm actually going to be going in with this deep blue shade, which is called Underwall. Then I want to go in with that same brush that I used earlier and just slightly blend out that shade. I gotta say, this shade didn't perform as nice as that lighter blue shade. I'm gonna have to say that. Okay, then I'm gonna go in with this green shade, which is called Sinful. I don't know, for some strange reason, these three shades right here, ooh, seems to be calling my name. So I'm gonna use those three shades, which is kind of a weird combination, but I don't know. I just feel like playing with it, and I kind of went OD on this brush too, picking it up. I'm gonna go in with that red shade again. I'm just gonna slightly go back into that shade Sinful and just slightly tap over the red so it blends, it flows seamlessly. Okay, and then to the under eye, I'm gonna go back in with that LA Gold brush and I'm gonna use that shade Divine Mink. Okay, so as an inner corner shade, I'm gonna go in with that shade Enigma. Alright, so these are the two looks that I came up with using the Decadence. I'm gonna quickly go off camera. I'm gonna put on the rest of my makeup and then we're gonna just finish off my final thoughts on the Mega Mothership palette and the formula of it in comparison to the renowned Decadence palette. Alright guys, so I just quickly went off camera and put the rest of my makeup on, my foundation, bronzer, highlighter, concealer, you know, the finish, some lipstick, and obviously my eyelashes. Now, how am I feeling about the 18-pan Mega Mothership palette versus the Decadence palette? Now, I want to say, initially when this palette was actually released, a lot of people were concerned that you weren't going to be getting good quality eyeshadows when compared to the prices of the other 10-pan. I'm gonna have to say this palette is quite impressive. I mean, I know a lot of people had a problem with the fact that there were repeat shades, but like I said, for me, this is good because I didn't get a chance to get the Star Wars eyeshadow palettes. But yeah, this palette is quite impressive. Now, in compared to Decadence, I wanted to say that the quality of these eyeshadows was different, but in actuality they perform quite the same or just as well as the Decadence eyeshadows. Now, like I said to you, the first look that I did you know, was more of an extreme artistry type of look. I didn't do much blending, but the shades do blend quite well. They blend almost as well as the Decadence. There was one of them which I think is the same one that everybody was saying the same thing about. This shade right here, it is more on the chunkier side. When it comes to the glitters, it's very chunky. There aren't any shades in the Decadence palette that comes out this chunky, I'm gonna have to say. But these two shades here, I would say, is a bit chunky. So this green shade here and this lighter green shade and this lilac shade is a bit more on the chunkier side. But all the other shades, even this one is a bit more chunky as well, but all the other shades perform quite well, and they are quite similar to the Decadence eyeshadow palette. Overall, this is a bomb palette. This Celestial Divinity Mega Mothership palette is really pretty, but it is on the extreme artistry level versus the renowned ever so popular Decadence palette. This is pretty much the same. I don't know what it is about it that seems a little bit different. I actually thought that these eyeshadows seemed a little bit finer, but I'm gonna have to say they're pretty much the same. You get pretty much the same performance from both eyeshadow palette. I'm gonna have to say the Mega Mothership palette is definitely worth your money, or worth the buy, or worth the experience. In addition to that, usually Pat McGrath's £6 palettes retails for about £60 something. If you look at it this way, for those persons who already had these 12 shades, you're pretty much just buying a £6 palette, which is £60 something. So I don't know why people really were that much upset, because all she did is give you guys pretty much a treat for the same price that she would have given you guys the £6 palette for. Because had she not brought out this £18 palette with the 6 shades alone, you guys would have still bought it for £60 something. So it really doesn't matter that much. But yeah, I'm very much impressed, and I really love this palette. I would say I love this palette more than her £6 palettes, the Decadent palettes, and a few of the other ones that I've viewed, but I haven't really got to fully play around with them. But yeah, these are my final thoughts, you guys. So if you do like the looks that I've created, please feel free to give me a thumbs up. If you do have any comments, please drop your comments in the comment section. Tell me what you guys think about the looks, what you think about the look that I came up with for the Mega Mothership palette. Just, you know, let me know how you guys feeling about it and the type of vibe or inspiration that the palette gives you, because I really love the looks that I came up with. I really feel that this is one of those exciting makeup palettes that make you want to try or create something different. I'm more on a runway look type of vibe. But yeah, these are my final thoughts, and until next time, bye.